How are we doing, everybody? Thank you for coming. My name is Kyle Burgess, and today we're going to be talking about smoking in public. More so focusing on the banning of smoking in public. So we'll start by talking about bringing public awareness to this. Secondhand smoke is not just harmful to the person that's inhaling the smoke, it's also very harmful to the person that's inhaling it secondhand. It leads to an increased number of deaths in the United States with lung cancer, heart disease, and other things like that. The worst part of it all is that the people who are actually inhaling that smoke do it with no consent at all, so they don't really have a choice in the matter. Which is one of the reasons why it definitely should be banned in and around us. So we'll examine some of the direct risk factors, the actions being taken. I put up a quote from James H. Lampert, and he said, "What right to smoke do I have the right to light up a sulfur candle in the middle of a crowd, or set off a foregone fogger? What would happen if I walked around with a black flag spraying people in the face? Well, I'll tell you what would happen. I would be arrested and brought up on charges of assault, terrorism, and other things of that nature." So what he was really saying was that he had no more right to assault you than the person that's smoking that cigarette did. See here. So, smoking deaths. Now, the CDC has openly given us the information that 49,000 people a year and this year will die because of secondhand smoke inhalation. So, with that being said, it's a wonder how we could stand to let it continue happening the way it does. A few facts that I wanted to share with you. Doing some research through the CDC, Livestrong, the WHO INT, and the lungs.org, they all agree on one common topic, and that is smoking is not harmless, as many want to argue. Now, another fact would be firsthand experience, and a lot of people may know somebody that died from lung cancer or heart disease, and maybe they never smoked a day in their life, but they lived with somebody who smoked in the house with them. Well, living with a smoker is going to increase your risk by 20-30%, so that might be, and to see the devastation that has on a family or that person, that definitely is the motivation to not allow smoking in public. And lastly, there's no choice for some people. Everybody's seen that parent going down the road with two kids in the back seat and a car seat. Parent has a 1/4-inch crack in the window and the car's filling up with a carcinogenic. Now, that's not really fair to those children that have no choice in the matter whatsoever. Now, three main points that we'll go over real quick is the history, the health effect, and what actions that can be taken to prevent this. Some of the facts of the history on tobacco. It started in Central America around 6,000 BC. It wasn't for 1,000 years later, or 5,000 years later, that in 1000 BC, around the time of Christopher Columbus, that the Mayans started bringing it over and chewing it as a tobacco leaf, which we would all know as dip or chew today. And that was pretty much the progress of tobacco until about 1964, when the U.S. Surgeons General brought it to everybody's attention that, hey, guess what? Secondhand smoke or tobacco use causes cancer. Then, a few years later, in 1973, the first restriction on tobacco was actually put into place on the airlines. It was a restriction that no more smoking on airlines could be done. Well, it took the airlines 10 years to actually finalize that to where it was throughout the entire industry that you were not allowed to smoke on an airplane. So it's pretty amazing that it took from us knowing to 10 years to actually that would be in effect. It wasn't until the 1990s that they actually decided that any small, closed public place you cannot be allowed to smoke in public. So it was a step in the right direction, but it didn't cover all the bases. We were still allowed to smoke in bars and things of that nature. Some of the health effects, is obviously the cause of lung disease, heart disease, and some of those other things. I'll share with you a quick little quote here. It's according to the tobacco-free, the HHS.gov, secondhand smoke in combination with the smoke of a burning cigarette and the smoke exhaled from a smoker can be exposed to a secondhand smoker in a home or the workplace or public places such as bars, restaurants, and recreational settings in the United States. the source of the most secondhand cigarette smoke, followed by pipes, cigarettes, cigars, and other tobacco products. Secondhand smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals. Think about that for a minute. 7,000 chemicals. And that's going openly into the air that you're inhaling. And the letter goes on to say that we inhale secondhand smoke, and it can cause lung cancer, which kills 3,000 people a year from secondhand lung cancer. Now, that's a small percentage of the death that we have. The main percentage of the death, of course, is heart disease, which, like I said before, if you live with a smoker, you're 20 to 30% more increased risk of getting heart disease. That kills 46,000 people a year that have never smoked a cigarette in their life. So you gather all that information and you kind of wonder, well, what can I do to change that? Well, there's a few things you can do. You can talk to your friends, your family, and, verbalize those concerns and help them try to get over some of those issues that they have with their smoking and offering them help. Talking with your local lawmakers, your senators, your congressmen, and talking about your concerns, what issues you can bring up, and how you can change your community. A great point is, your local park recreations people, trying to taking that step to ban smoking in public parks. How many people have been to a playground and they've seen a parent off in the corner light up a cigarette around 35 children? That's something that we shouldn't allow as a community, so we should really talk to our public people. And of course, the greatest thing that in our society right now is social media. What a great outlet that is, and we can definitely reach a lot of people. I mean, the most people have anywhere from 600, 800 friends on their Facebook. So, I mean, you multiply that by people sharing it 115 times, we've already reached 10,000 people. So it's really a really great, strong impact that we can have on everybody. So we'll kind of review real quick. So we learned a bit about the history. We learned about where it came from. Kind of came from an innocent nature. It was kind of more of a global trade item. It was brought to different places more as a currency, and then it kind of evolved over time, and the uses got more heavily used in other parts of the world until we realized as a society what the harmful effects were. We learned about some of the health risks, heart disease, lung cancer, and what the end result is, how many people a year it kills. And we also learned about the action that we can take, and the main source of our action is government. They govern everything about us, so that would be one thing they could definitely govern as well, as long as we push the item along like any other bill. So in closing, I just want to close and in conclusion just send you away with this. And that would be remembering that it kills 49,000 people per year. And the secondhand smoke, there's no doubt about it that it does directly affect everybody around us, and we could definitely do something about it. And I think as a society, it's time to be a part of something bigger. It's time to start a movement to change everything around. So I hope everybody walks away with this knowing a little bit more information than you did coming in, and I appreciate your time for coming and listening to me. Thank you.
Good job.